Hi, this is Kim with Scholarly Pursuits. Welcome to my channel. During this segment of the Scholarly Pursuits blog, we're going to talk about what to do if you're in the middle of an interview and you're asked a question and your mind goes blank. Like you have no idea what question was asked, let alone what answer you're supposed to give, right? What do you do? Now, I've seen over the years people do different things. I suspect that's what happened to them during the interview. And I've seen them do different things. I've sat on many interview panels. I've interviewed people as as a supervisor. And just know that when you're being interviewed, the interviewer wants you to succeed, right? They want you to give the best answer that you can. They are looking for someone to fill a slot that they desperately needed filled, and they want you to be successful, right? So if you go into the interview with that mindset, that could take some of the nervousness away from how you're feeling, and maybe limit some of those times where your mind goes blank. A lot of times, you're going to just have to do some practical things though. One of the things is you got to find out what the question was. And I've never sat in an interview where we weren't willing to just repeat the question, right? So the first thing I would do is, if I have no idea where I am in the interview, what's going on, what I'm supposed to do next, just stop for a second. Just pause. Now, briefly pause. Don't take long, drawn out pauses. Don't look all around the room confused. I would try not to do that if possible. Take a brief pause. Take a deep breath, silently, and then ask, can the question be restated, right? There's nothing wrong. There's no shame in saying, could you repeat the question? Especially because some of the questions that are asked during the interviews are multi-part questions. You know, that kind of question where they'll say, tell me about a time when such and such happens, and then what you did to resolve the issue and what the outcome was. Now, if you listen to that question, that's a 3-part question. I'm good at one question. 3 questions in one, and remembering what all was asked can sometimes be a challenge for me. Maybe not for you, but for me. So if that happens to you, not necessarily that it's a complex 3-parter question, but even if it's a simple question and you just, just in the moment, and you forget exactly what you're supposed to answer, it happens to the best of us. Simply say, could you repeat the question? And I'm almost positive, unless it's an unusual situation, because I've sat in on many and been a part of many interviews, they'll be happy to just restate the question. That gives you a chance to regroup as well, right? That's the first thing that I would do. But even before the interview, try to, find ways to make yourself calm. Make sure you get plenty of rest the night before. I'm more of a morning person, so morning interviews would work better for me than 5 o'clock in the evening interviews, because I've lost steam by then. But whatever works for you. If you're an evening person, if you get a chance to weigh in on when the interview is for you, because a lot of times they'll send you some options when they're asking to interview you. Here are the slots that we have available. Take the later slot, because you're a more later type person, and that's when you come alive, is in the evening. But for me, I need 8 o'clock in the morning if possible, or 9, just because I'm just more vibrant at that time. So take that into consideration before the interview. Try to schedule at a time that works best for you, right? Where you're at your optimal. The other thing you want to do is, if you use resources like, I pray, I'm a Christian, so I pray. So prayer always works before, have your friends and family pray with you before the interview. I've seen out something called a Calm, CALM, Calm app, where they talk and read and say different things that would help someone be calm. YouTube has, these videos of nature with the woods and the trees blowing in the wind and the ocean sound, whatever it takes for you to kind of be calm. Try some of that before the interview. Those are some things that you can do before the interview. Now, during the interview, we talked about asking something simple like, could you just restate the question? The other thing you can do is ask if it's okay for you to take notes. Most interviews that I've been in, actually, I've never been in one where they wouldn't allow you to take notes. Don't make any assumptions. Say, is it okay? First of all, be prepared and bring your own writing utensils. Ask, is it okay if you take notes during the interview? So what I do is, when they have those more complex 3-parter, 4-parter questions, I just do my own shorthand and do 1, 2, 3 to say, Kim, remind myself, this is a 3-part question, and then at the conclusion of my answer to make sure I responded to all parts of the question. I've seen people in interviews, and what they do is they'll answer part of the question, but they don't answer the entire question. So you want to make sure by the time that question is over that you have answered the entire question, all parts of it, right? And having something to write with in a piece of paper or a notebook or a tablet that you can refer to during the interview for a few seconds is perfectly okay. But I would, just to be on the safe side, ask the person that's interviewing you or the interview panel if it's okay or if they mind if you take notes during the interview. More than likely, they'll be fine with that. Okay, so we're going to reiterate. You've been asked a question and your mind just goes blank. You have no idea what the question is, or you think you might know what the question is possibly, and you, better yet, you have no idea what your answer is going to be. So just ask for the question to be repeated. Take notes during the interview. Try to remain calm during the interview. And it happens to the best of us. You're not the only person that this has ever happened to. Just know that, if that gives you any encouragement. And then the thing I'll leave you with during this segment of Scholarly Pursuits is this, that one interview question shouldn't make or break the interview. You know what I mean? Most interviews that I've seen have been 7 to 10. Now, some just are real outrageous and they have more questions than that. But usually you're going to have between 7 to 10 questions, I think, depending on which interview it is. If it's the first one, sort of the screening interview, or if it's the second or third one. I've even known people to have 5 interviews, which is kind of outrageous to me. But depending on the process for that organization, just know one interview question shouldn't make or break the interview that I've ever seen. And you can make up for it by just hitting it out of the park on the next question, right? So this is Kim with Scholarly Pursuits. If this happens to you, just shake it off, like I always say, and move on, focus on the next question, and try to take notes during the interview. So that'll kind of help jog your memory, and feel free to ask, could you repeat the question, and try to focus in the second time around, and you'll do great during your next interview. And I look forward to talking to you in coming segments. Feel free to comment in the comments section on things that have happened to you, crazy things that have happened to you during the interview process, and how you recovered, and what tips and strategies you have for applicants. And then also, if you would like and subscribe and share if you feel this information is something that would be valuable to somebody else. I look forward to talking to you during the coming segments. This is Kim. Thank you for joining us today.